In today's video, we are talking about the all-new Godox SL150WII continuous LED light. So the 150 stands for 150 watts of power, and that's how much this light sucks up. I also have the Aputure 120D Mark II light, and a lot of you are going to be asking, how does this light stack up to that one? Well, it's actually less than half the price of the 120D Mark II, and it produces about 15 to 20% more light output. It's also similar in size, it's a little bit bulkier, but the overall price tag, you can't really compare the two. The SL150 Mark II has a plastic body. It has a very similar shape to that of the 120D Mark II. It's a little bit bulkier, a little bit larger, but overall it has a very similar form factor. It features a new, stronger yoke with locking teeth, and it can also be flipped upside down, so you can hang this light off of a ceiling or any other high-angle rig. Unlike the Aputure lights, we actually have an umbrella mount which is located on the underbelly of the light. On top of that, this light also has a Bowens mount adapter which allows you to attach any accessory possible for this type of light. For example, in this kit, I actually have the barn doors, I have a scrim, and they also include 4 different color gels. So I'm actually really happy what Godox is doing with their lights because now they can allow you to go down to 1% dim. Past Godox lights, only 10% dim was possible, but why is this such a big deal? Well, it's actually very difficult for a lighting company to produce 1% power because of flickering issues. And I can tell you right now that there are absolutely no flickering issues with this light, even at 1%. On the back of the light, we have a beautiful display, very well lit, and they upgraded the LCD display so it's much higher quality. My Godox SL60W, the LCD screen started going bad, but they did update the components on the LCD display so it's supposed to last you a lot longer. And we finally have a fan cutoff switch. So there's a dedicated button on the back of the light which will turn off the fan. The fan itself is quiet, it's actually quieter than the Aputure 120D Mark II, but when you do turn off this fan, you are limited to about 40 or 30% light output, which is very similar to that of the Godox SL60W. Near the display, you'll find 2 dials and a few buttons. The 2 dials are responsible for controlling the dim and for the pre-programmed effects. We have multiple programmable effects, which will simulate lightning, TV flicker, and faulty bulbs. You can also chain up this light to multiple other lights using 32 channels and 16 groups. We also have an included remote controller, which will give you about 50 meters of distance. There is a little bit of lag between the remote and the light, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. To attach any accessories to the light, it's very simple. Since it's a Bowens mount, it's quick release designed, so all we have to do is just push and twist, and as I mentioned earlier, you get a barn door kit. This barn door kit is a little bit finicky. I'm not a big fan of it, but it does its job to a certain extent. The scrim does a nice job, and so do the gels. So when we take a look at these barn doors, they're responsible for cutting and shaping light. They do not produce hard edges. They produce very soft edges. So it probably has to do with the fact that this is not a Fresnel attachment. When using a Fresnel on a light fixture like this and barn doors, you are most likely going to get harsher edges around the barn doors. But with this, you're gonna get very soft edges, so just keep that in mind. The gels do a really good job of simulating the color that they're meant to simulate. So red, green, blue, and yellow look fantastic. Now it depends how you want to look at this, as either a positive or a negative, but this light does not have any V-mount compatibility. Instead, the power brick and controller unit are built into the light housing. Unlike the Aputure 120D Mark II, you have to schlub around a big controller box. This thing is all built inside, and all you have to do is hook up an OSHA cable and boom, there you go, you got power. But I do think there are some tutorials online that will help you rig up this light to get power out of a V-mount battery. At 100% power, this light stays relatively cool. They've updated the fan to make it a lot quieter, and the heat dissipation is fantastic. Cool air goes in at the bottom, and then hot air goes out at the top. Now expect this light to produce 5600 degree Kelvin when you get it, but it'll be plus or minus 200 since each light varies differently. So keep that in mind, but you are going to get a daytime colored light. We will also get color accuracy, or CRI, between 95 and 97, which is a 95 or 97%, which is an A. So you're gonna get the same light quality that you get out of the Aputure 120D series. At 1 meter, you will get around 58,000 lux of brightness, which is insanely bright and much brighter than that of the 120D Mark II. Now it does suck a little bit more power than the 120D Mark II, so it does about 150 watts. The 120D Mark II does around 140 watts. So you're talking about plus minus 10 watts of power, but you're getting about 15 to 20% more brightness. The LED chip is a little bit larger than that of a quarter, and it's protected under a layer of glass so you can't damage it or accidentally scratch it. When you actually take a closer look at the internals of this light, the quality is so much better than that of the previous Godox lights like the SL150W. They really put higher quality components in here, especially when it comes down to the thermals to keep this light cool. Now let's talk a little bit about the fan noise, and you tell me in the comment section below if you think it's loud. So here I am, I'm about, what, half a foot away from the light. Let me know if you can hear the fan. It's pretty quiet. As I mentioned earlier, if the fan does seem too loud for you, you can always turn it off by hitting the button on the back, but don't forget you are limited on the brightness. This light is an absolute beast, so if you want to save a ton of money and have a professional lighting kit, definitely consider Godox. I'll leave a link where you can check out this light for yourself down below in the description box, so make sure you check that out. Also, give this video a big like and subscribe with those notifications turned on, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.